Starfield derangement syndrome is a serious disease that affects many gamers today, usually Sony fanboys. Is there a cure? Let's find out. What's up, Game Boys and Girls? Big T here, back with another video, and we're going to talk about Starfield derangement syndrome. I was actually going to do a kind of more jokey video on this, like I did for the Xbox way back in the day, a video called Nintendium Xbox Side Peroxide. It was a product that would help you get over a certain problem switching from Nintendo to Xbox. It was a jokey video. It was a fun video. But honestly, I feel like Starfield derangement syndrome is less jokey, less a thing to not be as joked about, because I feel like it's a serious disease. And it's something I've never seen before in gaming. So if you're not privy to what's going on here, basically, ever since Microsoft bought Bethesda, there's been like this campaign by fanboys out there, specifically Sony fanboys, to discredit, dismantle, bring down anything having to do with Bethesda, even if they previously loved the games. So everything gets nitpicked now. Everything gets dismantled. If it's good, it's not because of Microsoft. If it's bad, it's because of Microsoft. Case in point, what's the game? The vampire first-person shooting game. I can't even think of the name of it right now. But because of that, that game is definitely Microsoft's fault, even though it's the same situation as far as development cycle and all that, being before Microsoft purchased. But if the game is good, and it looks like Starfield's probably going to be a good game, Bethesda has put the might of all of your development prowess behind it. It looks to be really good. The best looking game from that engine that they've been using forever. The one they use for games like the Fallout games specifically. But there's just been all kinds of crazy nonsense about this game leading up to it. So we'll step back a little further in the timeline of Starfield derangement syndrome. I guess you can add in people just saying the game's not be good, it's not going to be this or that. But more specific things that were happening this summer before the game comes out. Basically, once the game was shown off, the big show off during E3, and I'm kind of calling it E3. They had the big 45-minute, I think, blowout of the game to show, a lot of the mechanics going on, because this game has a lot going on. There's a lot of different mechanics that go into this one game, a lot of different gameplay styles, genres even, that go into this one game. And so they wanted to show that off, and it was a really good showing. But you had certain, dare I say the word, ponies. I don't usually like to use that word, because I feel like I'm stooping to their levels, but you know what I'm talking about if I say it. So, just instantly downplaying the game, just like bafflingly downplaying the game. You can tell that that's what was going on. I think it's specifically, I can't think of the certain somebody gaming. I can't remember their names. But I do remember, like, Dreamcast guy is just throwing a fit. Dreamcast guy. Called Dreamcast Pony a lot, which is pretty funny. He swears that he's, this and that, he's neutral and stuff. But I'll get back to that in a minute. But basically, they were just kind of downplaying the game. It doesn't look good, it looks bland, blah, blah, blah. That moved into, a little bit later, they're not marketing the game. Oh my God, they're not marketing the game. What's wrong with the game? The game hasn't gone gold. Not Xbox fans, mind you, but Sony fanboys who are upset that this game was potentially a Sony exclusive. at one point when Bethesda was independent. Sony was pushing that. Obviously, they got Ghostwire Tokyo exclusivity. They got Deathloop exclusivity, and they were trying to get Starfield as well. And so you had a lot of Sony fans specifically believing that this game was going to be an exclusive game for their platform. And obviously, Microsoft bought them, and it became exclusive for Microsoft ecosystem. And then people, lost their minds over that. This game, you're taking games away from other people. That was kind of the first thing. It was big, the first big thing during that came out during the Microsoft FTC trial. And so there was a lot of guys. Oh my God, you're not marketing the game. The game hasn't gone gold yet. It's so close to when it's supposed to come out. What's wrong? Why are they hiding this game? Even mind you, they just showed 45 minutes of gameplay and different mechanics in the game. They're hiding the game. All this stuff. It's pretty funny. They're not marketing the game. And so I think Pete Hines or somebody came out saying, we know what we're doing. We've made games before. And if you look at the history of Bethesda and their releases, it's very similar to Starfield. These guys either don't know that or pretend to not remember that stuff. And so they try to make up this whole, they're fear-mongering, basically, and they're not being, they're being very disingenuous. And so he came out and was like, yeah, we know what we're doing. Basically, hold your horses, we're fine. And so I think maybe a week later, the game had gone gold. And then these same guys were taking victory laps. See, well, we pushed them. We're the reason that you guys have gone gold, just because some fanboys in a segment of the community were saying, where's the game and why hasn't it gone gold? They pushed a multi-billion-dollar corporation to was the game not gonna go gold? Like, I don't understand. So are you saying that you pushed them to finish the game and so it could go gold? Or I don't, what is but as you'll see, there's not a lot of logic when it comes to this stuff. So that was the big thing for a while. And then they had the disgruntled former failure of a developer, Grums. I can't remember his real name. He used to work for Blizzard way back in the day. His famous failure of a game, Firewall. I believe it's called Firewall, where he spent $3 million on a bus to advertise the game. The game bust. It failed. So he's been saying disgruntled ex-employee stuff, which is still really unprofessional as hell. Very unprofessional. And he's just been downplaying. He's called every Microsoft Xbox fans are their bots. They're not real people. He said stuff like that, which is super, again, unprofessional and just really fanboyish for a grown-ass man in his 40s, I'm guessing. And then he also said, who's supposed to be, a part of the industry. And then his latest thing was, oh, look at the startup screen for Starfield. It's very bland, which means the game is rushed. The start menu. The game is rushed, or they just didn't care. And it's just really wild stuff. Now, I will say that some of the Xbox or some of the Sony fanboys call them out on that one. Because if you just look at multiple games in the history of gaming that are stellar games, they don't have anything special about their start screen, their start menu. It's just a stupid thing to say. But a lot of them also jumped on that. And they continued with that by saying the game itself is bland. And then the newest, biggest thing was they lied about the the ability to explore planets and whatnot, even though they didn't. This guy running for 10 minutes in one direction and he hits an invisible wall. Now, granted, running 10 minutes on a map before you hit an invisible wall is kind of crazy. But if you know what Bethesda themselves have said is that the planets are segmented. You land in different segments and you're able to explore that area. You can still explore the entire planet if you want, but you'll have to fly to a different area, and then because it's in sections, makes sense. And again, the game, those worlds, a lot of those worlds are, some of them are handcrafted, but a lot of them are also computer generated. They're randomly generated. So that's just how the game works. The entire planet is still explorable. All right, and so they went into tizzy on that. It just went bonkers about that situation. They're just trying to find everything. They're grasping at all kind of straws everywhere. And then one buffoon, who I will not name. I don't want to name a lot of these people. I'm afraid of them. I just don't want to give them any shine of any kind, even though I'm not like a huge channel or anything. Any shine of any kind is you can easily find out all this stuff yourself just by Googling it or whatever. This buffoon said, "Oh, you can't actually explore every planet," and he was pointing to like a gas giant. A gas giant. Why can't you explore this gas giant if you can explore your planet? You lied, but that's a lie. Now, mind you, this guy can't really speak English very well. He's American, So it's not like I'm not making a dig here. He's an American, born and bred. He's not. He's from this country, but he has problems with the English language. So it's no surprise that he doesn't understand science. He doesn't understand a gas giant is a planet made of gas, and you can't explore that because there's nothing to explore. I mean, you could float around in the gas, but it will kill you. In most cases, it's too toxic or whatever. You want him to float through layers and thickness of gas fog? Is that there's no ground to walk on? There's nowhere to land your ship, and therefore you can't land and explore. You can't land and explore a gas giant. And people were trying to explain this to him, and to get out of it because he's a moron, and he got caught up in 4K. He was saying, "Well, you got all this outlandish stuff. You got aliens, blah blah blah. Why can't you explore a gas giant?" Well, it's still seeped in some kind of science. Okay, there's a logic to a game that has to do with space and planets and stuff. You still have to adhere to that. Yeah, you can have fantastical things here and there, but physics usually is pretty solid in every game. Every game has its own physics here and there, but you have to stick to somewhat real world physics. And to explain that, or have to explain that, is sad and embarrassing. But it just speaks again to the amount of, like I said, derangement when it comes to this game, Starfield. There's guys threatening to make 1,000 accounts to downvote it, to review bomb it, which is embarrassing because it's not going to stop anything. There are also so-called journalists getting in on it, making these ridiculous articles. I saw one complaining about the live-action trailer and how it's not representative of the game. And there was no gameplay in the live-action trailer. There's no gameplay in the live-action trailer. Because you haven't had enough gameplay, again, in 45 minutes of blowout gameplay and subsequent little videos here and there. There's just not enough information about this game. It's hidden. And certain journalists aren't getting review copies because they've been and historically really negative towards Bethesda, and so they made the decision to not give them review copies. So there's entitlement with that, and it's just like you think you can say anything about a company, and just get what you want anyway from them. You can still be buddy buddy. No, not really. I mean, that doesn't really work that way. If you're making a fair criticism, that's one thing. But if you're just ridiculously negative the way people are about Starfield, without even having touched the game at all, it's understandable why a company wouldn't want to give you a review code. And they'd rather give it to somebody even with 3,000 subscribers over you at 100,000 or so, or more, because you just want to crap on and dunk on the game because you are a fanboy hater, and it's obvious. And I think Colin Moriarty, who likes to play the neutral game, but everybody knows you are not neutral. I don't know why you try to pretend you are. He's saying, "Oh, this is not a Microsoft game. This is not a Microsoft game." So hater fanboys get to choose what's Microsoft game and what's not. They get to pick and choose, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so, which is a joke. And we could talk about how Sony bought, one of the largest publishers in the European region that published 40% of game. I think they had 40% of the market in Psygnosis, and try to downplay that. Oh, that wasn't a big deal. Come on. It's just the hypocrisy and the derangement syndrome continues with these people. It's crazy. It's out there. Hopefully, you can go on. And here's the biggest thing about it that these guys don't seem to understand. You're promoting the game. All this derangement is just making people pay attention. Now, you have people that will just don't care, or just will never give this game any props. That's going to happen. But beyond those people, you're creating impressions and upon impressions, and you're boosting the viability, the visibility of this game. Especially from the ones who were complaining, saying there's no marketing. You're marketing the hell out of this game. And you being negative is not really going to affect people deciding to buy it. Because I've seen a lot of so-called, people that are so-called negative on it are being proud about they got the premium edition with their Microsoft points, and then all their fanboy hater commune had turned on them, and they didn't know why. Why you guys? I don't understand. You were hating on the game with them. You're promoting hate towards this game, and then when you turn around and say you're gonna buy it, and you buy it, and you wonder why all your fans are mad at you, calling you a traitor and a turncoat. It's really confusing. You guys really don't understand that? Like, you really don't get it? That's crazy to me. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. The Starfield derangement syndrome is real. Hopefully you can avoid it. Give the game a fair shot. I don't know if the game is going to be great. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it'll at least be good based on what they're trying to do and the emphasis they're putting into this game. So I think it'll at least be good. We'll know in a couple days here. So I decided to do this instead of a jokey video because it is insane, the discourse from people who can't play it on their favorite box. You can still play it. You can play the game. It may not come to your favorite box, but you can still play it. That is all I got to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks again for watching and listening. And now, see you folks next time. Peace out.